What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We got a two-game slate to dive into for Thursday, May 22nd. So we'll break down and analyze each of those games. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread, and we'll also go over any player props that I found in those games that I like. And any picks that I put in officially myself, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You'll find a link down there that's going to send you right over to the Guy Boston Sports website, and that's where all of my final plays will live for free. Now, typically right here in the video, we would recap our plays from the night before, but I'm recording this one pretty early. It's about 9 o'clock, the 8 p.m. game just tipped off, and we still have two 10 o'clock games to tip off as well. So we'll recap these picks along with today's picks in tomorrow's video. So let's not waste any more time, man. Smash that like button down there for me, guys. Hit subscribe if you have not already. Now let's jump right into the action. We have the Fever taking on the Atlanta Dream. It's a 7:30 p.m. tip-off time. Fever are 3.5-point favorites in this one. The total sitting at 172.5. And we get a grudge match, man, between these two after a thriller this past Tuesday that saw the Dream roll into Indiana and upset these Fever by 1 point. Atlanta is still down starting point guard Jordan Canada for at least another week, and then her right knee will be reevaluated, and then they'll go from there. The Fever have Sophie Cunningham listed as questionable still with her ankle, but everything I'm seeing on her has her trending in the right direction, so we might see her suit up for this one. Atlanta lost their opener, though, in Washington after giving up a second half lead, and for a moment, it looked to be more of the same on Tuesday against Indiana. They were up 8 after the first quarter before allowing Indiana to make it interesting heading into halftime. They cut the lead down to just 2. After the break, Atlanta comes back out. They're firing on all cylinders, and then in under 2 minutes of action in the third quarter, they had ballooned that 2-point lead up to 13. Then Indiana again makes a push, right? The Dream are struggling to close out games, man. They shot right at 40% in the fourth quarter. They went 0 of 6 from downtown while being outscored 25-15. Man, they went without a field goal in the final 4 minutes of play. That's damn near half the quarter, right? Only 10 minutes of play in WNBA quarters, so 4 minutes without a field goal. Only scored 2 points from the free throw line in that time, but end of the day, man, a win is a win. Indiana had they had their chances, but like poor defense for stretches throughout the game, it offset any runs that they were able to put together on the offensive end. Now, with that said, though, you got to give credit to Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard as well for their defense in that post play against Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones. Atlanta was kind of feeding the post, right? Because Indiana is an undersized team. For as good as they are, for as much talent as they have, they don't have a lot of size. So Atlanta definitely tried to take advantage of it. They tried to slow the game down. And, it worked. They won by 1 point, right? I was going to say for the majority of the game, it worked. For the game, it worked. They won. So Atlanta won the battle on the glass overall and pulled in more offensive rebounds as well. And those second chance points really hurt Indiana in this one, along with the fact that, while they shot the ball beautifully from the field, I mean, look, man, honestly, they shot the ball better percentage-wise than Atlanta. 49% from the field, 47% from deep. You can compare that to the Dream that shot just 27% from beyond the arc, 43% overall. So, like I said, they shot the ball beautifully from the field, right? They were trash from the charity stripe, though, and man, how's that work, right? Only 62% from the line, and in a close game like this one, man, that sometimes is the biggest difference maker. I originally liked the Fever to roll on Tuesday and figured this would be a spot here in this rematch game where they secured another dub, but Atlanta would probably cover a potentially bigger line, right? Well, after the Dream victory Tuesday, this line opened up, much shorter than I had expected, and my thinking has switched up as well considering the outcome of Tuesday's game. I just don't believe that the Fever dropped 2 straight to the Dream. Now I'm not saying the Dream are a bad team, but I don't see it, man. Now, is it a lock? And should you go put the house payment on the Fever? Absolutely not, man. That's not what I'm saying at all because look, there's just no such thing in this industry, right? And whoever else, anybody that tells you otherwise is a whole lie. But like I said, man, I just have a hard time seeing the Fever losing this one after losing by just 1 to the same team 2 days ago at home. The Fever, despite playing so poorly at times throughout that contest, and despite struggling against that Atlanta defense for periods of the game, they were still able to fight their way back into it, and it really should have. They really should have won if we're being real. You know what I mean? They had moments down the stretch or opportunities down the stretch to win that game. They had snatched all the momentum from Atlanta, but they just failed to execute down the stretch and deliver that knockout punch. I like the Fever to bounce back, man. And while I wouldn't hate taking them on the spread, and I wouldn't talk you off of that by any means, I already hit the money line when it dropped at minus 165. It's hella juiced, right? Hella juiced. But that's the max for me, man. Like, I would, you're not going to see me going any higher than a minus 165 bet. That is definitely the maximum amount of juice that I will pay. But like I've mentioned before, man, and like I'll say again, profit is profit, man. And when the odds line up on the money line for me to take it there and not sweat out any points, I'm gonna go that route 10 times out of 10 personally. So I didn't go a full unit on it yet, man. I'm not there yet at this point of the season. Still some things to shake out. Still need to see a little bit more. We need some data to build up to, right? But I went higher than a half a unit. I put a 3/4 unit play on this one, on the fever, on the money line. So that's where I land on that one. And like I said, man, if you're on the side, I mean, if you're on the spread and you want to take Indiana Lane, the 3.5, I wouldn't try to argue you off of it. And then for the total, I expect a better effort defensively from Indiana. You know, you got to remember that Coach White is defensive minded, man. Think about Connecticut last year and how great of a defensive team that is. So, that's definitely where her mindset is. And that was a focus in practice right after Tuesday's outing. So Atlanta showed too, the stingy D that they can play. Um, and despite the faster pace that both are playing at and the amount of threes we can expect to see both of them put up, my gut is telling me that this is a spot where Indiana rolls when we see them kind of stifle this dream team. So I'm not sure that I trust Atlanta to get enough points up themselves to hit an over here against an extra motivated Fever team coming off of a tough loss. So I'm going to lean under in this one. Player prop I'd be looking at in this one's going to be Ryan Howard. Rebounds under 4.5, and we get that at FanDuel minus 148. And we can see in her last five, she's hit at a 60% rate. And then we can keep pushing it back, man. Obviously, we're looking at last year's data the further back that we go, but we can see that she hit that at a 70% rate in her last 10 games as well, including the 2 games so far this season. She has hit well underneath of that line, coming in with only 2 rebounds. And then head to head against the Fever, we can see in the last 4 meetings, she's hitting at a 75% rate as well. And if we look at this insight from Outlier, we can see that she has failed to exceed 4.5 rebounds in 7 of her last 8 games at home, averaging 3.4 rebounds in that time. That's an 88% hit rate. So, like I said, Ryan Howard, rebounds under 4.5. I like that one, guys. Minus 148 over there at FanDuel. Then next up, our second game, we have an 8 p.m. tip-off time between the New York Liberty taking on the Chicago Sky. Liberty are 11.5-point favorites for this one with a total sitting at 162.5. New York's coming into this one off of a convincing win at home over the Aces in their opener. This is going to be the first of back-to-back games on the road and could potentially be a look-ahead spot for the Liberty as they will head to Indiana after this for a big early season matchup with the Fever. Now, the Sky are coming in off of a blowout loss to those Fever in their opener. This is going to be the first game this season at home before heading back on the road for their next 2. Let's start with Chicago and what we saw from them in the opener. And man, it was not pretty by any means. They give up 93 points. They lose by 35. They didn't score any more than 17 in any quarter. In fact, after putting up 17 in the first quarter, they went for 15, 13, and 13 the rest of the way. Shooting was an issue for the Sky, and this could prove problematic for Chicago moving forward. Coach Marsh wants to put up shots from the perimeter, but this roster just simply isn't built for that in this kind of manner, right? This was one of the worst three-point shooting teams last season with the fewest makes from beyond the arc, and while the moves they made should help in that regard some moving forward, I don't know that this team is a team that should be putting up 27 three-point attempts in a game, man, just looking at their roster, right? Chicago only shot 29% from the field and even worse from deep, 6 of 27 for 22%. Hell, they only shot 50% from the line as well, so you can't expect the likes of Kia Nurse to go 0 of 6 from deep every game, or Vandersloot to go 0 of 3, Rachel Bynum to go 2 of 6 like they did against Indiana. But outside of Ariel Atkins, man, I just don't see anyone on this roster that is going to be consistently able to get it going from the outside in order to justify that many three-point attempts. The other thing I noticed was a lack of aggressiveness from Camila Cardoso, and man, that was disappointing. All I've heard this offseason in regards to her was how she's tougher. She's more WNBA ready from her time playing overseas in between the seasons. I didn't see much improvement from her personally, man, on opening night. She still looks a little lost in the post as far as her footwork is concerned and getting in the right positions. And honestly, man, she just kind of looks a little soft at times, just getting pushed around, right? Getting bullied. So it's not what you want from your biggest player on the court. You're the center. You're supposed to be holding it down there, and she's getting pushed around too often. So I'm not sure about that one, man. But Reese was the rebounding queen again, right? I don't even want to talk about me taking that under, man. You guys gave me hell for it, and I get it. Whatever, man. She poured in 17 boards to go with 12 points, another double double for Angel in her short career. I was disappointed with her as well, though, not really from a basketball standpoint, but from the incident, right? That I don't really want to give any more airtime because, like I mentioned before, the media is just all over that, right? And let's talk about basketball, man. They're not focused on anything other than that. And it wasn't even the only incident that weekend, right? There was multiple times where players kind of got into it a little bit, and because of who they are, it's become this thing. But I will say this about this, okay? I respected Angel jumping up and popping off right away, right? I respected that, man, initially. But once Caitlin walks away and your coaches grab you up, and now you're on the sideline and you're still jawing at Clark. You're trying to get around your coaching staff to get over to her. It just wasn't that real, man. It's a damn foul. It's a take foul. It's basketball. Like, you've been playing basketball your whole life, just like I've been playing basketball my whole life. If I got fouled hard like that, yeah, I'm gonna jump back up. I might have some words, and then it's done, man. We're gonna get back to playing ball. So I don't know, man. Chicago turned the ball over 17 times, and that's going to be another issue here facing a Liberty team that is elite on the defensive end. New York held Vegas to just 34% shooting from deep and overall from the field, 34% from both. They out rebounded the Aces and also grabbed 7 steals and blocked 7 shots as well. The Liberty didn't shoot the ball particularly well in this one either. They did shoot 49% from the field, which isn't shabby by any means, right? But they were just 4 of 21 from deep. It's only 19% shooting, yet they still won by 14 over a good Aces team. So New York, man, they just have so many weapons, just like last year. But like I said in their opening day, I think that they're better this year than they were last year. You got Stewie and Nescu, you got Finals MVP and former league MVP Jonquel Jones. That's the big three. But then you got Natasha Cloud that was brought in the offseason, and man, what a perfect fit she is with this team, right? 22 points, 6 boards, and 9 assists in her Liberty debut, fit right in with the squad. And Leonie Fibich in her sophomore year, she went overseas, won a championship. You know, like, she's balling. Kennedy Burke, Maureen Johannes, Nayara Sabali, Rebecca Gardner. That rounds out the bench rotation. So talk about deep, man. That's just a deep, deep team with a ton of talent everywhere. And New York feasted in the paint over Vegas, and I think they could take similar advantage here against the Sky. Their ability to find the cutter it's unreal, man. Both Jones and Stewie have great court vision. They're both willing passers, and they do it either out of the post or from the perimeter, right? So I'm not 100 that I can get here laying that many points, just simply because we've seen the Liberty play down to competitions at times. And last year they did struggle covering double-digit lines, going just 5 of 12 to the number as favorites of 10 or more. But there ain't no way in hell I'm looking Chicago's way here, right? Even though they upset the Liberty last year at the beginning of the season, but I don't see an encore here, right? I'm leaning New York, and we'll have to see if I end up getting there with that total, or with that line sitting where it's at. Um, Now looking at the total, if I'm gonna sit here and talk so highly of this Liberty defense and be so low on the Chicago offense, then how could I look any other way but an under, right? I can't, and I didn't. I'm already all over this under, and I caught it early on FanDuel when they dropped it, so I got it at -110. These two, they've hit to the under in 2 of their last 3 meetings, and then 7 of their last 10 overall. The Liberty went slightly above this number in their opener with the Aces landing at 170, while the Sky and Fever match finished at only 151, even though Indiana put up 93. So well below that line, right? Chicago doesn't bring the offense to the table that Vegas does, and I'm not sure they are going to fare any better on that end here than they did in the opener, as they now face a Liberty team that is definitely better defensively than Indiana. So it's an under all day for me. Like I said, I'm already on that one. And then once again, man, Vegas, y'all need to come correct. All right, no player props out for this one yet. No player props out. I don't know what's going on there, guys, but if they do end up dropping some lines and I find any plays there that I like, I will throw that into the pinned comment. Well, it'll be on the Guy Boston Sports website, but you'll be able to find that via the link in the pinned comment. So that's going to wrap us up here. Just these 2 games on the slate. Hope you guys all cash out. Hope you guys have a great night. And I hope you found this content helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash the like button down there and hit subscribe. And that's going to do it, man. I will see you all back tomorrow. Have a great night.